to begin with Arindam. Arindam, why don't you?
Good afternoon. So how many in the audience are from a utility industry? Can you guys raise your hand? How many of you guys are in the energy storage vendor space? Okay, good. So as Ravi mentioned, energy storage is something from a technology standpoint that has been there for some time. All your cell phones have energy storage. So, a lot of car companies in US and Europe, electric vehicles, that technology has been there, has been working fine. I even myself have a Chevy Volt. What my topic will be related to is the stationary portion of that energy storage. And there has been a lot of discussions around this. I'm going to focus, since our time is short, I'm going to focus on two key messages of when you are talking about storage, when you are talking about evaluating storage, as Ravi mentioned, from a business standpoint. Before you start looking at the value, you need to figure out what storage is used for. What is the problem storage is trying to solve? So from a planning standpoint, from a utility, you have to understand and figure that out. And the second thing that I will talk about, which has been talked quite a bit in some of the sessions that I heard since yesterday, is the communication and control, meaning the integration and interoperability of these assets as they grow in the system. But before I do that, I will very quickly give you a bird's eye view of how storage has evolved in the last couple of years. About 2.5 years ago, the cost of a lithium-ion battery was about $3,000 per kilowatt hour. Right now, the numbers that you have seen have come down to about $400 per kilowatt hour. Now, that is the battery cost. If you talk about the installed cost, it's in the order of $800. Now, that's a big, big change. Another thing that has helped is the renewable PV cost have gone down. The scale of lithium ion being produced in electric vehicle has drastically enhanced. You have obviously heard about Tesla's Gigafactory. Just like in US, even in India, you have aging infrastructure. You have transformers that are getting 40 to 50 years old. The monetization of different market opportunities being talked about. We had a discussion yesterday on blockchain. I'm not going to go that far, but the market opportunities of having storage for ancillary services are opening out. Retirement of coal plants. Now, don't tell this to Trump. He's going to fire me right here. But it is true. We are retiring coal plants. And it is true all over the world. And massive investment on some of these technologies have promoted the use of the storage and the cost of the storage to come down. Now, if you step back and put your utility hat and put on the hat that says I'm a conservative person. In a utility, from your mindset, and Ravi has been there for a long time, you always operate the system for the worst condition. Worst condition. Now, if you look at some of these studies where they are using storage for capacity deferral, you will find that worst condition happens about 1% of your entire hours in a year. That's about 8% of the cost, operating cost. Now, if you start looking at the other hours that are not the peak and go to the 10% of the hours, you start seeing that you can start using the storage for those other peaks too. So in essence, what you are doing from a capacity deferral standpoint is if you use the storage not just for that peak hour, but also on a daily basis to flatten the load, you have a savings on the age of the asset that you are pushing out, in terms of their life. So that is important. Why is that important? Because all throughout the time, today and tomorrow, several people talked about value of storage, multiple storage values, multiple stacked benefit. these are the type of innovative ways, and Rahul will talk about some of these. These are the innovative ways where you can make an asset operate simply without too many, bells and whistles, but at the same time, it will give you more effective results. So very quickly, I will go through this process. So it is not just New York and California who is doing storage. Almost every state is into storage, and Rahul, I'm sure, will talk about these. There's a lot of work in Hawaii, Florida, Excel, California, where people are replacing these gas turbines and putting storage. Big plants of storage are getting put in, and just not lithium ion. People are also looking at flow batteries, pumped hydro, case systems, but battery lithium ion technology is probably the most dominant ones that people are looking at. Ravi mentioned about the ramp rate. There has been a lot of work going on, and I don't know if you can see that curve on the right-hand side. Even from a PPA energy prices, you will see in the last 2 years, it has drastically gone down. So like from 15 cents per kilowatt hour, we are now talking like 3 cents, and AES has installed systems like this in Hawaii. New York has special mandates as well. So the two key messages, and I have about 2 minutes to tell this. So when you are looking to put a technology, the most important way to value the technology is to find the problem it is trying to solve and to locate it in a system where it will solve that problem. And that will be your primary service for energy storage. And then you looked at the stacked benefits of when the storage is not being called upon for that primary service, it can do other things. Let's say PV savings. Will you get a lot of cost savings if you do PV saving? Answer is no. But you are helping reliability and efficiency and power quality of that system. So in order for you to do that, you really need to start asking the key research question when you choose the storage size and where you will put it and what services you need to put. Because remember, this is coming in as a non-wires alternative to your traditional resources. What is my traditional resources? I can build a new line. I can replace a substation transformer. I can take an overhead and put it underground if reliability is my concern. So you have to compare the benefits with the conventional solutions you have. So in the work that we have done with Ravi as well as several other utilities, we have tried to zone into these problems. A lot of times, being engineers, the mindset that we have is let's do a pilot to test a technology. But, awesome, do that. But if you are trying to extract the true value, you have to put it where the problem storage is solving and then try to use it and look at it from a capacity deferral, voltage regulation services, increasing hosting capacity, meaning adding more PV and wind on the system, reliability benefits and whatnot. Very quickly, I will talk about a very important thing from an operational standpoint. When you are deploying these, and if one of your goals is not to custom build a system, it is very important from the beginning you deploy the system in a way that you can standardize it and use it in various pilots. So communication is going to be key, whether it is PV integration, electric vehicle integration, storage integration, and at different levels you have different communication standards where in US and Europe are actively working on those pieces. So it is important, a lot of you guys probably have gone down and looked at some of the vendor space and the enterprise level solutions that they are offering. From a utility standpoint, as these systems grow, in order to maximize the benefit to the grid, you have to have a connectivity back on your enterprise bus, whether it is to your SAP or whether it's to your DMS or whether it's to the DERMS. And in EPRI, we are working with various utilities to kind of figure out what these communication architectures will look like. Because, like in Hawaii and Germany, if you are trying to monitor every PV, good luck. It's not going to work out. So that's something that you will have to talk about, and that's where you will hear the word DERMS, which is the Distributed Energy Resource Management System, controlling various way these assets. Um, so communication and controls will be a key to maximize your benefits. Because in order for a storage to provide ancillary services, you will need to get a market signal. In order for your storage to provide better regulation, you need to have better load forecasting and better generation forecasting. Perfect forecast won't cut it. So you will have to look at these controls at different level, right from the household level, like behind the meter solutions, as Ravi mentioned, as well as front of the meter solutions. And you can start with manual setting, autonomous controls, like change the setting and leave it for one season, and then real-time controls. And one of the things that we are focusing on right now are these DER group management, because one thing we have seen is there will be aggregators that will be playing as third party between the utility and the customer. So how do you group these assets to maximize the benefit rather than utilizing the benefit for one asset? And there are several layers of controls for group as well as DER. So another aspect, and this is my last slide. So another aspect is not only do you have to understand it from a planning standpoint and operation standpoint, you also need to monitor them to see how it is evaluating, how is the reliability, what is the degradation, and that's a big thing for storage to become a commonplace and make it standardized. And then the implementations and making sure you include some of the security and the cyber security aspects. That's my last slide.
Thank you very much.